Hello, hello, and welcome to the newest episode of Borderline Podcast Disorder. Oh God, I just excuse me, I just got home. Just went out with my partner for a bit. She had some work, and I joined her to this like coffee shop in a community center that she works for, and I just got back home and. It's I'm still coughing. I'm still excuse me. I'm still quite ill. You know, it's been going on for a while. Yeah, it's been at least over a week since over. Yeah, just over actually a week since I started feeling this rough. Obviously, it had different levels. I think it's gotten worse, and then it got better, and then it kind of like went bad again. And now I just don't know. I'm trying to go out more. I'm trying to do stuff, but I still feel like because of the whole nose block situation, my head kills me, and yeah, it's quite rough. That's it. That's pretty much it. Which means the reason why I thought I'd tell you this is that it's been quite frustrating at times. I had to uh, I wasn't able to do a couple of shows this week, and I wasn't able to do my new day job. Um, and yeah, it was quite annoying. In the bright side, I've done, for example, today in the morning, I woke up, did some writing. Um, I finished my first year in university, and I don't know the final degree yet, but on my last test, I got I think 93% um, out of 100, and then on my last project, I got 85 out of 100 as well. Um, that's good enough for me. That's brilliant, actually. So I'm very happy. Uh, so now it's kind of I'm thinking about the summer, although I have no plans in regards to holiday, mostly because of financial reasons. But without having to go to uni now, I will probably pick up some more day work, just so that I can get a bit of extra money. Um, but I'm also looking forward to have another day off in the week. I feel like at the moment I've been pretty much. Obviously, I feel like it's not fair to say it right now because of the having final exam, new day job, comedy, podcast, etc. I didn't really have days off. But even when I feel like even when I did, it was pretty much one day a week or even like half a day a week that was just off. While now I'm kind of trying to have at least one day a week for the summer when I just chill. It's not happening yet, obviously, since my holiday again is literally just starting as of this weekend. Obviously, now you're listening to this on a Monday, so actually it doesn't make sense to you. It started since yesterday. Okay. Um, but then I'm also quite excited to say that I had the pleasure of having some incredible people on, and I have some incredible people to interview. I'm going to interview a lot of really cool people throughout the month of June, and that's quite nice. And I'm very looking forward. I'm really looking forward to it. Um, Comedy wise, again, I'm not gigging as much throughout the summer. I've learned from the past years that it just doesn't sell well, and I feel like it's. I want people. I don't know. I just like I want people to enjoy it, and I want to, to in one hand also I want to make it worthwhile, and sometimes throughout the months of summer it feels the least worthwhile. As well as I'm also not going to Edinburgh this year. Again, actually, it's not just financial reasons. I'm not going because I don't have an hour show to do. But the exciting news are, and that leads me to it. from September on, I'm gonna start doing a lot more split bills, a lot more um, of my own shows. I've already got three that are pretty much confirmed. I'm one of them is definitely gonna happen. I'm just waiting for the tickets to be like for everything to be published on the website um, of the club that I'm going to do it at. Then I've got two more that I know who I'm gonna partner with to do the split show. I know the venue as well. I'm just waiting to confirm the dates. And what else? There is something else. Oh yeah, of course, the progress. That's I'm still, looking forward, and I'm proud to be a part of that project with Karina, Mike, and Nick. So we're trying to get that running a couple more times at least as well. And yeah, that's quite exciting. And again, I feel like because it's in September, um, it gives or I'm planning to start this season of doing more shows of my own. Um, yeah, it feels really cool, and I'm very excited. And I'm very happy about it. Now, I think that I've told you enough about the planning of the week, the life, whatever it is that you want to call it. Um, this week's episode is with Elsa. She's been here before. It's actually quite funny because when after we've recorded the episode, Elsa got to meet my partner Irene, and I got to introduce them, and then Irene was like, "Oh, how'd you guys know each other?" And reminded me the fact that over oh god, almost maybe 2 years ago, no, a year and a half or something like that, I um, I got because I just moved to East London, and I've saw this community page on Instagram, and turns out that Elsa was one of the admins, and I I got to I actually I think I thanked her for a follow or a message or something like that, and then we just started chatting about the fact that I was starting to do the borderline podcast disorder, and then I thought, hey, would you like to come on? And she did, and then as we actually like met IRL, we started chit chatting even after we stopped recording, and then it turned out that Elsa also had borderline personality disorder, and she was about to start doing DBT. Or it was, considering, or the people that she was, the specialists that she was talking with were considering that as an option. And then now it turns out that she's been doing it for a few months. I've learned a couple of things, like the NHS program is much longer than the one that I've done. Um, but yeah, it was quite exciting and interesting, to catch up on that and see how that goes, especially because ever since we spoken last, she's also started her own business. She's also done a lot more not a lot more, but well, actually, she's done a lot more of something. She's done a lot more of her um, speeches and like being like a guest speaker to events, because yeah, she's a very well spoken person. You'll see that from the podcast. You can see that from the previous interview. You can see that from her social media, and there were loads of things. There were a lot. Sorry, not loads. Loads, a lot, both. There were things to catch up on, and we kind of did, and that's pretty cool. And she's also one of the things I praised her for during the podcast, and I have to say it now as well, is the fact that she's by far one of the most honest people on social media. I feel like she's very open when she's going through good stuff. She's very open when she's not going through good stuff, and in different ways. That's quite nice because you get to see those almost those like two sides, or like the both, not two, but the both sides, or if there are more than two, more all the sides of what a person does go for. Because I feel like when you were looking at people's content, and I take mine, for example, you kind of always see the good sides only. Or like you see the side that, it's more, I don't even want to say, because I don't know if empowering is a word, because I think actually it's empowering to see everything. But it is this side of like, oh, look how well I'm doing, and it's less of the, oh, I'm struggling. While with Elsa, it's pretty much the case of, look, this is me, and I've learned quite a bit from it, and it helped me out, at times to reflect on like how do I feel about certain things, or like how do I, how truthful am I? I feel like I'm pretty truthful to myself as a maybe not actually. I feel like again I'm working on it. I feel I'm much more truthful to myself than I was years ago, even months ago. But I'm also working on to, and I feel actually what, I've been pretty truthful, and I've been able to define what I can stand and cannot stand for and stuff like that, which I think is quite important. And again, Elsa is one of those people who, I see her work, and then I'm like, oh, there is I don't even know if I should say hope, because I think naturally I have hope for humanity, although at times it goes from very much to very little. As a whole, as a concept, I feel like without that sort of hope, I wouldn't be able to push through. But again, it makes me feel. I feel good. I feel good when I see her content. I enjoy it. Again, not in the sense that I enjoy the honesty, that she's got, and also look, even the projects that she works on. She's working for wonderful foundations. She's doing brilliant things, and it's been, and also it was, and as you will see from our conversations, she's not having the best time at the moment. She's struggling with her own things, but yet she took the time to record another episode with me, and it was brilliant, and I'm very grateful for that. And I hope you enjoy this episode as much as we enjoyed recording it. So yeah, enjoy. Perfect. That's it. We are recording now. We're live.
Okay.
How are you?
I'm okay.
Nice. It's been a while since we did the last podcast.
It has been a while. I don't know when the last one was actually.
Oh God. It was.
But you know what? I hadn't started DBT yet, so it was,
no, you haven't.
Yeah. So it was that long ago.
Yeah, no, you haven't started DBT. That's one of the things I want to ask you about.
Yeah.
And then what else? Because something else happened. No, because we met like without doing the podcast before, when you started DBT, when you were about to start, when you got referred for it.
Yes, you're right. Yeah. You're right.
No, it must have been. I think it's probably a year ago.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think, because I can't remember if it was when like the football was on.
It was whenever you were having the construction work being done.
The construction's been going on for like.
Oh, it's been so long.
Like,
oh, okay.
Yeah. Do you remember what was it? Was it the kitchen or the bathroom?
It was the kitchen,
Ah, okay. So yeah, it must have been a year ago then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so
we're back.
Yeah, we're back now. Nice, that's good. But because you've been out, like you've done a lot of stuff this year.
I've been busy this year. Yeah.
On top of doing how's the DBT going?
The DBT is going all right.
Have you not finished yet?
No, because I'm doing mine's a year and a half
thing,
because we do once a week, so it's twice. Well, yeah. So we have a group session once a week, and then we have a one-to-one once a week. But it's on the NHS, so it's a bit of a longer process. Yeah.
Interesting.
But that kind of works better for me. I think it's better for it to. If it was shorter, I would kind of struggle a bit more, I think.
Interesting. But then do you like take breaks as if like, when you have like a school year or?
Yeah, not really actually. We occasionally will have a week off, but like right now our next week off is at Christmas.
Oh,
so Yeah. It's intense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn. And then, because it's obviously it's in person, right?
Yeah, it's in person. Yeah.
And then, what about the one-to-one? Is it with that? Is that with anybody, or does it have to be like a DBT therapist as well?
No, it's with one of the DBT facilitators.
Oh.
Yeah. Mine is anyway because it's a kind of service specifically for that. So yeah, group every Wednesday and one-to-one every Tuesday. But my therapist is away this week, so it's funny that I'm doing this instead. I'd usually be at therapy right now, but I
No
thought
way.
I'd be here. Yeah,
Nice.
So it's a good alternative.
Yeah, I guess. No way. Okay, because I remember we were. What do you? No, because I think we actually talked off the record the first time. You know that you might have BPD, or you were like in the process of getting diagnosed.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
right. Because I remember that we didn't talk about it while being on air.
Yeah, that might be right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then what was it? I mean, obviously, again, it's a long time ago too, but just to like get like a little recap of what was the process like?
Yeah, gosh, it feels like so long ago now, and in reality, it wasn't. Everything's happened. So much has happened in the last year that it's all a little bit of a blur. But I think I might have mentioned, and I'm not sure if it was on the podcast or just to you, that I was initially diagnosed with bipolar disorder.
Same, yes.
Yeah, because I think you mentioned that as well. And then it was later changed to BPD. And I don't know, I think when I got that diagnosis and I researched it, which you have to be very careful with BPD especially, but when I kind of read a little bit more, I could really identify with it. And I think ultimately, like, I'm really grateful for the DBT and the support I have got as a result of the diagnosis. So I think when we first spoke about it, I was a bit apprehensive and wasn't like super keen on the label or on any of it. But actually, I think it's been more empowering than I realized it was going to be.
Yeah, I think again, I might make this whole thing up. But as far as I remember, or like how I remember it, because I know we were talking about the idea of like, you know, do you use it as or like is it almost sort of like a label thing where you're like, oh God, like I've got this, now I'm doomed, or is it more of a okay, like I know what my, you know, my I know what I guess the problem is, so then it helps me be better at dealing with it.
Yeah, you're exactly that. I think the BPD diagnosis has helped me identify the things I struggle with more and feel like, I think before I was sort of trying to work out why things were happening to me and why I'd feel something so intensely, and I still have moments that are like very painful moments like that, but I can kind of work with that more and understand it more and use the skills I'm learning more. So I think probably when I initially got the diagnosis, I was like, "Oh no, everything's over. I don't want this. It's a disaster." But it's had a much more positive effect in the end than I realized it would. Which is, I never thought that would happen.
I mean, that's pretty cool because especially I don't know what was it like for you, but I remember when doing the research on the DBT, like I don't know if you've seen this, but apparently, like in America, it's a whole different thing where there is a lot. I guess allegedly there are more cases of DBT being like problematic because obviously like people have to pay for it. So then it's almost like again, it looks like I'm only saying stuff that I have to, again, as a disclaimer. I'm talking about things that I've read on probably Reddit. I don't know how true it is, so don't quote me for this. But then, yeah, apparently, like loads of people in America have been like forced to do DBT. It's kind of like, you know, gone on the wrong. It's almost like with the wrong start, rather than going like, oh, okay, like let's try this and see how it goes. To, oh, I have to do this, so then I might just, you know, not want to do it, or I might not engage as much with it. And then, yeah, apparently, loads of people were I read this thing about how people would be like threatened to do DBT because or else they would have to like be hospitalized and stuff like this, and all this kind of stuff. Where in like my experience in England, I've not seen anything even close. Like I've seen people drop out from my class at the time because they were just like, yeah, I don't want to do this, or it's not for me, or whatever it is,
Yeah. 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 It's, I think I've been surprised at the attitude towards it, actually. Like, it hasn't been as terrible as I thought it would be.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I still hate telling people
about
BPD. I still hate, not that I tell people very much, but if I bring it up. So, for example, I actually had a scenario this morning where actually I sort of had to disclose it. I felt I had to. And I was so uncomfortable with that. But I think within the support service that I'm a part of, I've actually been quite pleasantly surprised with the attitude towards like all of us that are struggling. And like you say, people have kind of dropped out if they haven't felt it's for them, and we're able to kind of make our own decisions with it.
Because it's like again, I think even it's quite interesting to see this shift in the stories that I hear from people who used to be who have been diagnosed from like years ago, compared to my time when obviously I heard like about all the stigma and everything in regards to the BPD, but I've noticed that again. I guess it's for the best because it doesn't feel like it or at least again, I guess to me, I didn't necessarily feel. Although sometimes I do the same when I'm like, say if I go to see my GP for something else, or I have to fill up a form, or even like I get like a quotation for insurance or whatever, they'd be like, oh, any like, yeah, I got a diagnosis of what, just some mental health stuff. Because I still kind of, I feel like all that, everything that I've heard, they almost like prepared me to have to push back a bit and not want to disclose it just because you don't know. You want to assume that you're speaking with someone who is up to date, I guess, with the way people should be treated.
Yeah.
But you don't know that.
Yeah. You can never really know, can you? But yeah. It's an interesting thing to like navigate, I think, especially when you're in the early days of the diagnosis and you're like, I don't really know what people's attitudes are towards it. But yeah, I mean, I'll be really honest. I think I didn't have a great view of it before it was a thing in my mind. Like, not that I really was very familiar with like BPD or personality disorders or this kind of space, but I think I probably held some level of like, I don't know, stereotyping with that kind of, I don't know, illness. Whereas now I understand it more.
Yeah, which again, I think it makes sense because you almost have to, because you're you're a part of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But then you've done, now going on a more positive note. Well, not even just to say this was a negative, but it's just something that I'm curious about. That's happened to you, or I've seen, this year. You've done a lot of what should we call it? Is it like, I mean, because you've done a lot of like guest speaking, right?
Yes.
I've seen I've seen you through your socials that you've been super busy. I was going to say, is that still called as activism, or is it?
Yeah, I say a sort of like public speaking and activism thing. Like, yeah, activism.
So yeah, what was that like?
Yeah, amazing. I honestly, as terrifying as it is, the public speaking side of things is what I love more than anything, because I kind of love the rush of the like anxiety of it in a way, but then overcoming that to really like share a powerful story or a powerful message and then connect with an audience. It's just the most magical thing, and I absolutely love it. It's what I want to do more of. So yeah, I'm very lucky to have been offered the opportunities through like charities and things.
Yeah. And then how do you then, because obviously it had it's because this is another thing that I will touch with you as well. You're probably like one of the most honest people on social media in regards to like posting, the good days and the bad days.
Oh my gosh, I'll take that. That is so kind.
You're very welcome. But my question was then, obviously, how do you, because basically what I'm going to say is that I know that there is not a definitive answer to the question I'm about to ask, because it's an ongoing battle or an ongoing thing. But obviously you're busy and you're doing these things that you love. You're again probably again, you're not probably, you're having the days when you're struggling as well. And obviously, like, you had to start doing DBT, which is a new thing while you start. Because I remember at the time when we first met, you weren't doing as much public speaking, or you weren't, like, again, it things kind of like escalated, right? Again, for the good and the bad, or I guess for the, no good and bad, but more for the heavy stuff, heavy lifting, and good stuff, or like easy, not easier, but more positive stuff. So then how did you balance throughout the year? Like, how do you kind of go through, the sort of, oh, I'm still learning about myself, I'm discovering, I'm doing this whole new thing, while now I also have to go and share my story with other people, or to share some stories with other people. What was that like?
That's a very good question.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, very good question. It's the hardest part is balancing learning about myself, learning about a new diagnosis, starting new treatment, going through all of this stuff and having really difficult days, and also trying to use my story and my experiences to make a difference and to try to speak about them. I don't think I've worked it out yet, if I'm honest. That's the very honest answer. Is I've been struggling a lot recently because I haven't worked out how to get the balance right. And I think there are moments where I make a much more conscious effort to put support around me, so that if I am speaking about, if I'm being very vulnerable on a stage or on whatever platform, I have the support around me afterwards, because it is very, when you do these things, you're almost like reliving everything in your head, because you're talking about it. And then people come and tell you about their experiences. And that's what I absolutely love that. But it is heavy. Like, you're so right. I get it wrong a lot of the time. Yeah, that is the honest answer. And it doesn't ever stop me from doing it, because I love it. But I think I am trying to learn how to not put myself at the bottom of that kind of care when it comes to the work that I'm doing.
Also, how do you, or like, what's your way to, because again, I feel like sometimes when you talk so much about something, like I remember speaking with another brilliant woman that I know, who was talking about like her advocacy, or advocacy. And she was saying that when you share a story, especially something that's quite heavy, thousands of times, it's almost like you're splitting yourself from that. So then you're becoming like desensitized to an extent. So then what have you noticed that? And if you did, what did you notice about it? How are you working with it?
Yes, that I feel that so deeply. I think, like, she's exactly right, that when you just tell your story over and over again, you sort of detach yourself from it. It almost becomes a story you're telling, and you forget that it's your story in a way. And there have been moments where I remember an event I did last year. I think it was only in November, actually. And I was speaking about my mental health journey. And afterwards I was like, hang on a sec. That was me. Like, that all happened to me. Like, I wasn't just sharing that all happened to me. And I had to stop. And that's when it hits you more. That's when, like, you have to look after yourself, because it all kind of does come flooding back, and you are like, oh my gosh, this is heavy stuff, and this is really difficult and painful to think about. So I think it's something that a lot of us in the kind of advocacy space experience, especially those of us who are sharing our personal stories. It's quite nice to be able to relate to other people in the space, because we all kind of, I've got friends that are also, do this similar stuff, and it makes a difference to be able to discuss it with them and actually feel like you're part of a community that understands how difficult the work we do is. But yeah, I always have a bit of like funny fear in the back of my mind that sometimes people think we're just sharing our story to talk about ourselves, kind of thing. Like I always am like, does this just sound like I just like talking about myself? I don't know.
Yeah, which is a fair assumption.
Yeah. But like, I can absolutely promise anyone listening that like it's not easy. I wouldn't. All of us who do it, we are willing to share our story because we don't want it to happen to anyone else. We want to help other people, and like, yeah, it's not easy, and I wouldn't do it if it.
Do you get this thing when he's like, talking about how sometimes you're like, where is it? Like, where am I? Because obviously, like, where is the line between, how do I make people understand that, like, I'm not necessarily trying to talk about me in the respect of like, oh, here is me, treat me like a god or whatever.
Yeah, it's feel bad for me. Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, where do you feel like? Because that's something that I struggle with as well. That's why I'm asking. Where like sometimes I'm like, am I asking, or like, am I saying too much, or like, how do I make sure that it's coming across on the way of, I'm only sharing this because I want for people to know that we're not the only ones to deal, like, you're not the only one to go through this. Like, I've been going through. It's almost like, again, I'm telling you about me so that you can actually recognize it more in yourself.
Yeah.
But then obviously, like, and this is especially for someone who struggles with like having this sort of like voice in the head where it goes like, oh, just shut up. How do you kind of like, what's your personal way of like, containing that voice, or like making sure that you're, you see the good that you're doing?
Yeah, this is probably going to be a very unhelpful answer, but
there's no such a thing.
I think but I have this all the time. I'm always like, do you know how many Instagram posts I write or film or whatever, and then I'm like, no, I'm not going to post that because it just sounds too strange, or this person's going to think that, and I'm so worried about what other people are going to think. But then there'll be moments where I'll put something up and someone will, and I'll get messages from people, and they'll say something, whether that's that they can relate to something I've said, or they're grateful for something that like I've done that's helped them, or a resource I've shared. Like, it could be anything. And those people like keep me going, because, and it's not that everyone needs to say, like, explicitly say, because actually what I've realized and what I have to keep telling myself is there are so many people that will be helping that we'll never know of, that are watching the things we do, whether that's on social media or at an event or whatever it is, who are genuinely impacted by words that we say. And I kind of have to keep reminding myself of that we will never know the true impact of what we do, but it is great. It's greater than we'll ever know. And that's, the people who maybe think that we just like talking about ourselves, they're not, those voices aren't important, sort of thing. So it's difficult because you have to really like be very mindful about it and be very, tell yourself that you are doing something good and you are making a difference. But I think reminding yourself, of the people that are benefiting and feeling the impact of what you're doing makes big difference.
I get it. And now I think actually as you were, giving your answer, I then realized about how I sometimes treat this in a similar way how I look at comedy, and I guess again it applies to sharing, to like being a mental health advocate as well, where it's kind of like that I always kind of go with the idea of the most people that I'm trying to reach out to with my comedy are probably not going to like me. Because that's the truth. Is like 7 billion people, that are in this. Is it 7 or is it 8? I don't know. Anyway,
I have no idea.
Yeah, it's a lot of people in this world, and the chances are that there are more people. Because I almost think about even when you think about like Instagram followers or stuff like this. Is like you have. One way to keep yourself humble is that you have more unfollowers than you have followers. Like that's just the way it is. Even if someone has like hundreds of millions, I don't know what's the biggest amount, that's still that's still less than 50% by far. I mean, it's probably less than 10% of the world's population. So it's good to kind of like remind yourself that and be like, oh, okay, so there are actually possibly more people who have either never seen me, or even if they saw me, they were like, nah, this is not for me. And I guess that applies to this as well, when it's the case of we are sharing the story and we're trying to you're trying to like again help out and then spread the awareness and make sure that other people get to notice things that have impacted you before it goes to the extent that it's gone for you. And I forgot where I was going with this point, by the way. But then, yeah, no, I got it now. I got it back. But then again, it's like you have to like speak to a lot of people, and then from those, a few will actually be like, oh yeah.
Yeah, but it's still completely worth it.
Exactly. Yeah, it is worth
completely. And you know what? There are some times where like I will hear from people who either like were a part of my life ages ago, I haven't heard from in ages, or people I don't know, who I have no kind of conscious thought that what I'm saying or the work I'm doing is reaching them in any way. And they'll message me and I'll go, oh, so like these people that I don't know are listening to this and are impacted by it. And like that, even if that's one person, I know people, like we all say this, but genuinely, even if it is one person, that how incredible is that like we can sit and talk and someone, like one person listening to this, feels empowered or feels less alone. Like that's amazing.
Yeah, and then I think it's something that a friend of mine said to me once, when it was about the case of then you have a reach. And then the people that you've reached in within that reach have their own reach, and so on and so on. It's almost like a very positive pyramid scheme that we made.
Ripple effect.
Yeah, well, I think that's better actually to use than a pyramid scheme. But I love the idea of a pyramid scheme. But yeah, no, that's the thing, because it's like that as well, where it's like, okay, you say, oh, one person, but then this one person has then the other people that they willingly or unwillingly can influence, and then it almost like spreads, even more. So anyway,
we're doing
nice,
good. We're doing good.
Yeah, that's a good.
We're doing good.
I mean, you're doing much more than I do, to be honest, because
not a competition.
It's not a competition, but if it was, but if it was, no. But now, okay, going back to of course, you've done, you're doing those the speaking engagements. You've done like a lot of racing this year, whether it was walking, whether it was. Did you do a Tough Mudder as well?
I did a Tough Mudder.
How was it?
This was only like 3 weeks ago. It was awful. I don't know why I thought it was a good idea. In my head, I was like, I want to do a Tough Mudder, but we did it with like a week's notice.
Oh.
And it was painful. It was painful. I was very grateful that I went with a friend that I could climb on, so that, because I couldn't get over anything. It's not a course made for short people. I'm too little for this Tough Mudder.
Really? Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
So I just had to climb on everybody. But yeah, I mean, don't know if I recommend it, but maybe recommend
Which
with a bit more training. I did the 15K one. So you think that's the longest one? So I was like, oh, it can't be that bad. But then apparently people do the 5K one, the short one.
Yeah.
It's like, no, we don't need to do.
Yeah, I think I've seen one of my closest friends do one, and I think it was the 5K, which was fun.
Yeah,
but it was 5K.
Yeah.
So yeah, or maybe 10. I can't remember.
Yeah, the one we did had 5 or 15, so we did the 15.
Nice.
And then there were some people who were doing like this infinity one and were trying to do it as many times as they could in 12 hours. I was like, that's not anywhere near fun.
I mean, again, it depends. For some people, it probably is.
Oh, I don't know. Well, they're strange people. No,
what was
You're amazing.
What was your? Because then you talk about like being with a week's notice. How did it even happen?
Well, it was an opportunity that came up with a charity that I work with. Had just partnered with a like charity challenge type company,
right?
And it was one of the challenges listed, and so we could get charity places. And I thought, okay, this is a sign.
Where was it?
It took me ages to find someone to do it with me, though. It was in, well, they say West London, but it was like really like out. I don't know, okay. out there, out there somewhere. I actually don't know.
God,
I took a friend who could drive.
Nice. Was it like what? Right. So then you've got through, which is again like still incredible. I would have not done. Yeah, with a week's notice as well. No.
Yeah, that's my. I was gonna say spontaneous brain, but maybe just kind of. What's the word I'm looking for?
Is it the one? Oh my God, I forgot. Impulsive. Yeah.
Impulsive,
I was like, how do you know? Like, this is also one of the things I think about sometimes. But it's like, how do I make the difference between? Because I know, again, I'm an impulsive person, but then how do you differentiate that from impulsiveness from spontaneity?
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of go, it's a bit of both, but I know that I'm a very impulsive person. I'm not a planner. I'm not like okay, I'm going to do this in even a few months. I just want to if I have an idea, I'll just be like, all right, let's do the idea.
You got to do it right now.
Yeah. Which actually I'm trying to work on a lot, especially in my like one-to-one and stuff. Was just being okay with not doing things immediately.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've always been like that.
I think it's again, like I can relate to that a lot, because I think even when I talk about like smaller things of like, again, it goes from, changing jobs to even like doing a joke that I still know that, I need to work better, but I'm like, no, I gotta do it right now. I remember if I once looked at a shirt and I was like, I need to get this shirt right now. I can't wait to get this shirt. It must be right now. If I don't do it right now, might as well not do it.
Yeah, that's what I think. I'm like, if I'm not doing it now, I'm never doing it.
Yeah, and then and he's like, well, yeah, he's like, oh, what's the point of doing it later?
Yeah, again,
and then with stuff like this, and this is again one of the wonders, and one of the most amazing things that I found with going through, getting diagnosed with BPD and doing DBT. It was the fact that I always thought that, it's just in my head, like I'm the one who thinks like this, and then it's like, you get a whole room full of people who think like this, and you're like, oh, again, in a way, you're like, oh, this is good. At least, like, I'm not the only one.
Yeah, and you know what though? This sort of, obviously there are not good sides to like the impulsive actions and thoughts, but there are some parts of that I actually like. Like I like that I kind of grab opportunities when they come up, and I think that it does have a positive impact on me in some cases. Like it helps me actually do things that I want to do. So there's two sides of it.
I think it definitely does. Like, this is the thing. It's kind of, again, it goes back to what we're talking about at the beginning, where it was or actually even the first time we met, and then when we started this episode, when it was the idea of like, are you going to use this, like the things that you find out about yourself to perhaps victimize yourself and to put yourself in the position of like, again, that's it. Victimize yourself, or are you actually going to be like, oh well, again, like this is, I guess, this is the almost the good side of this sort of treat that I have, which might not be the best treat in the world. I think it happened to I usually, the way I explain it to me was when I got into basically, like, say, look, for example, quitting smoking, because I know I'm I have a very addictive personality, but then because I started running, I was like, I can't smoke because I'm more addicted to running and I want to do better at running, so then I'm going to stop smoking. Because I almost, like, it was, I've got this thing with even like with impulsiveness now, where I'm like, you know what, I need the money to like, I want to buy new golf clubs, or I want to, I need to actually, I'm working on my new shows from September, and I need money for advertising for that and stuff like this. And I'm like, well, that's what again, now, because I'm addicted and only thinking about that, it stops me from doing, to fall onto like other addictions, like other bad things. 'Cause it's the exact same urge, but I'm just trying to make it work for me rather than against me.
I love that. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I completely agree.
Yeah. So again, that was the way I was thinking about it, and that's why I was like, I see your point, where you're like, you almost have to go again, use the best, you make the best of what you've got, sort of.
Exactly. And I wouldn't have done half the things I've done if I didn't have a little bit of impulsivity to me. So like, yeah, I'll take the wins where I can.
Well, you see, this is the thing, and is like now, because obviously you've done the Tough Mudder, then you've done. Where did you walk? Was it walk to Cardiff?
I walked it from London to Bristol.
Bristol.
That was last year, though. Actually,
I know.
I walked from London to Bristol dressed in a pink tutu and flamingos on my head. Took me 7 days, and it was painful. It was emotionally really tough. Yeah, I wouldn't do that again. But yeah, I did Tough Mudder, and then a week after Tough Mudder, I did a 24-hour dance-a-thon thing, which is it was for the same charity, and that was quite difficult as well.
Wait, how does that work?
You just dance for 24 hours.
No way.
Yeah, well, we did it. We did a different style of dance every hour. I taught one of the hours. I taught jazz, and it was tiring. My little anxious brain couldn't really take it when we got to, like, I don't know, 3 a.m. But I saw it through. We did the 24 hours.
No way.
Yeah. That was intense.
So you were up for 24 hours?
Yeah. Well, I was up for longer than 24 hours.
Of course, yeah.
Because then I got straight on a flight to Norway the next morning. It was a crazy weekend. Yeah.
When do you
sleep?
I mean, not just sleep, but you see, with stuff like this, again, it goes back to because you're talking about, like, how you're not planning, like, you're not necessarily as good as at planning things in advance. But then how do you almost, like, when do you notice that, oh, okay, I've done too much? Or, like, is it the case of, I've done too much, I need to rest right now? Or do you kind of go, oh, I feel like I've planned a lot of stuff for the next 2 weeks, so then the next 2 weeks I'm not going to do as much? How does that work?
That's a very good question.
Thank you.
The answer is, this is the very honest answer, and I'm not actually proud of this answer, and I don't encourage anyone to do this, but I do sort of wait until I have a complete meltdown, and then I realize I've been doing too much. It's not that I'm waiting for that. It's that I just keep going at 1,000 miles per hour until my body goes, no, like, you can't do this anymore. Which is sort of what's happened over this past weekend, actually. And I've just gone, oh, okay, I think I've gone a bit too far here. I need to stop. And it's when I've got no other choice that I do stop. This is one of the biggest things that I'm trying to work on at the minute. It's one of my personal targets in my one-to-one at the moment, to not kind of dismiss my needs and not put myself at the bottom of the pile. But that's the honest answer at the moment. But obviously I want to get to a point where actually I can get that balance right, and I can do all the things I want to do, but sensibly.
Yeah, but you see, again, this is the thing, because you're talking about how you're not proud. I think you should be proud, because it's your it's your, again, it's for you, it's your own making, and again, like you said, I think the acknowledgement is a huge part, and then yeah, I get it. Again, goes back to what I was saying before, where you're like one of the most honest, people that I see, like I follow on social media, where I'm like, you kind of like, you see people trying to almost make every story be a feel good story because only good things are happening through that story, and then you're like, oh, actually there is a side that's, because I still feel like it's a feel good story, the fact that you're kind of like, look, I'm working on it, the acknowledgement, that's still a feel good story, but it's not because you're, oh, you just you got the answer straight away. And I think that's something huge when people are like, actually, well, you know what, I'm not doing it, I'm aware that I'm not doing it.
Yeah, it's a journey for all of us. And I think it's so important to me that anything I put out there, anything I share is real, and it is, or as real as possible. Because otherwise it's just, well, of course, it's just a made up version of the story. It's a kind of, it's encouraging people to look after themselves and work hard in recovery, but only showing one side of that. Because for all of us who are recovering from anything or in therapy for whatever reason or whatever it is, like, it's so hard. It's painful and it's hard, and that we all have incredible sparkly moments in it, but we all have incredibly painful moments in it too. And I think if we don't talk about that, then we kind of invalidate those bad parts, which isn't like the healthiest thing. I don't think, like, it's much better to, yeah.
I mean, I think this is one of the things I've noticed with many, or like in many respects, is that the almost sort of like, oh, if I'm gonna avoid something, then it means that it didn't exist or it doesn't exist. I don't have to address it, and then it's been shown again and again in many different respects that actually that's not the right way to deal with something. When you're actually like, okay, cool, well, there is a, I guess there is a downside, I guess there is, and it's almost like, you I think, again, I don't know if you covered this already on DBT, but the radical acceptance is something that I've learned, and it's something that kind of like stuck with me since my time doing DBT, where it's kind of like, yeah, again, that's exactly, for anyone who doesn't do DBT, which I don't think we've mentioned what it is dialectual behavioral therapy.
Yeah, might be an important.
We just went on like straight away.
Find out yourselves.
Yeah, you should know by now. No, I'm joking. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, radical acceptance is one of the skills that you learn doing DBT, and it is exactly that. It's what it sounds like. It's radically accepting things that you might not like, as well as the ones that you like. So it's yeah. So again, that's what I was going to say. Is that that's one of the things I used most. Now, question for you.
Yes.
So far, what is it that something that you've went on to do when you did DBT, you've perhaps learned or you found out about that you didn't know about, or something that you actually went like, oh, actually, I'm using this a lot more than I thought I would?
Ooh, that's interesting. As in something like a skill that I've
yeah something that you were like, oh, actually, I didn't know about this, and or like, I didn't know that that's how it works. Let's try it, and then you've used it.
Yeah. Do you know what I use? This isn't necessarily something that I was alien to me, but the sort of I got obsessed with the check the facts side of things, because I make a lot of assumptions about what people think of me and what I've done, and I'm like, oh, everyone hates me, and that this is this and da 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 da. And I always try now to go back to check the facts, because if I can't, looking at things without, what is it, like trying to kind of describe without the emotion behind it, just describe what's happening, most of the time when you describe a situation, you'll realize there is no evidence to back up the thoughts that you're having about what, like, you're completely assuming what other people think based on absolutely no evidence. So like so I'm in a relationship now.
Oh, congratulations.
I know, thank you. I honestly every day I'm like, oh no, he hates me now. Like honestly in my head I'm like, no, he hates me. And I have to stop and do my check the facts, because I'm like, where has he done anything to show that he hates me? Like there is, and then I'll think about literally not one thing. There is not a single thing that tells me he hates me, other than my brain going, yeah, but he obviously does. Like, what's that about? So I found check the facts and the whole like practicing non-judgmental kind of thinking quite helpful, really hard, but just a helpful one to like reset myself and realize that most of the thoughts that are in my head are just thoughts. They're not facts.
You know, the non-judgmental, actually, because we checked the facts, I was going to say that, and this is one of the things that you mentioned, and I found quite interesting, because I actually noticed after talking with you, after talking with other people that I know who've done DBT, it's almost like, although I think the I don't know if you had this, but like what we've been told in DBT classes was, you know, these are the skills. Familiarize yourself with the ones that you feel like you need to work on, and try to use them consciously. But I actually feel like a lot of people tend to, or again, like people that I speak with, and mostly myself, use them unconsciously. Because like to me, you know, the thing is like we check in the facts, and it's something that you almost you make a personalized version of it. Because like I don't know if you've got that book. If you got the DBT, yeah, it's a huge book, right? And then I almost feel like
it's huge.
What I've done with it is like you've kind of gone through it once, and then you got things that stuck with you, but then you make versions of the skills that actually suit you, which I actually think it's the right way to do it, because it's like the personalization of those skills. Because like you know, with for example, the checking the facts one is a huge one, where you know I ended up not using this on my emotions, but then it also helped me relearn on like how to deal with things that are happening in the world, in the news, stuff like this, where it's like, you know, it's much bigger than that. Before I go to the bottom of it, which is like my like, oh, checking the facts based on like, oh, I feel about this, it takes it further. Even the one with the what was the second one that you were talking about? Was the after checking the facts, it was
describing, or what was I saying?
No.
Oh my gosh, I don't even remember what I said.
No, because you're talking about like how you're doing checking the facts, and you're like, oh, that's just like how I feel like, oh, he must hate me because, you know, that's what I think.
Yeah.
He does. And then it was another one that you were talking about, and I was like, yeah, that's another one where like I use a different version of it.
Yeah.
I think we'll have to go by, but it's
was
fine.
it non-judgmental?
Non-judgmental, that's it. Yeah, and also because, and one other thing that I found, I don't know if you've done it as well, where I always thought that I already, you know, like sometimes you hear about a skill, and non-judgmental was one of those skills where I was like, I'm already doing this.
Oh my gosh, me too. I was like, I don't need to do this. I don't.
Yeah.
Judge. I'm not a judgmental person.
And then I was like, oh.
I'm so glad you said that, because my experience of that was exactly the same.
Yeah, when I was like, I remember going, I was like, who needs this? You know, like it's so obvious. And then I went, and I was like, oh, fair enough.
Yeah, which actually happens with quite a few of the skills, because you think this is common sense. Like, why am I learning this? And then actually, when you unpick it, you're like, oh, yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And it's like, I've done it wrong.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, again,
no rights and wrongs.
No right or wrongs, but if it was a right and wrong, it would have been the wrong way to do it. Because I think one of mine and the one that I struggled with the most was definitely mindfulness, where I always kind of like took mindfulness with meditation. I was like, I'm really bad at meditation. I don't like meditating. I don't like this stuff. And then it was like, oh, you can like mindfully read a book.
Yeah.
Like, oh. Yeah.
My perception of mindfulness has really been reframed through DBT, because like you say, it's not like we did so we start every group with mindfulness.
Same, yeah.
Yeah, and we like, we've done all kinds of things from counting the number of blue things we can see in the room and things. And I'm like, I can get on board with this.
Yeah.
And it just like brings you back into the present moment. And I've actually kind of my perception of it's changed, which is quite nice.
That was again a huge one when I was like, let's just skip this. It's not for me. I know it's not for me.
I mean, some weeks I still hate it.
Oh no, just again like
a couple of weeks ago I was like, I'm not doing this. I don't want to do it.
It's fair enough. Like I remember once we had, I don't know if this happened to you, but we got a piece of chocolate and we had to describe
like a tasting one.
Just
or
like
just
again,
looking at it?
No. We had to no first because I was like, oh, chocolate.
Yeah.
Like, no, don't eat it. First, look at it and describe it, and then he was like, okay, now put it on your tongue without eating it. We just put it on your tongue, and then try to describe it in your head. Obviously, don't speak. And then after that, eat it, and then whilst you eat it, describe it again. I was like, this is what is this?
We've done that. I did that with crisps.
Oh,
so we all had to choose a different food.
Oh,
and there were crisps on the table. One of the best bits actually is there's always food on the table.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Although we really,
yeah,
because we had to because we had to do mindfully. So during the breaks we can break, but then whilst I'm lying because I think at times we were actually allowed to start drawing or play around with, as long as we were actively listening. Never mind, I take it back. Yeah, I was thinking about school in general.
Yeah,
you're not allowed to.
Oh, that's a whole other thing.
No, actually, yeah, I remember now. I was into mango at the time when I was
mango. Okay.
Yeah. So I would just I'm not proud of it. But I used to buy the packed one, and I would just eat loads of mango while I was listening to the while I was in class.
I mean, there's worse things you could be doing than eating mango.
No, I know, but it's just because it's all this thing of why would you buy the one that's pre-cut and in the plastic bag when you can. I was like, I don't know, I'm not going to carry mangoes and raw mangoes and a knife with me, in London. Although I probably wouldn't be the only one.
Yeah. I'm sure there are people who do it.
Yeah. But anyway, let's go back. Let's come back. Oh God, there was one because obviously, so we've covered your Tough Mudder, which was very recently. We talked about a little bit about the talk from London to Bristol. And then, because and now I think it's a good time to ask you again, what are the main projects that you've been working on in the past year? Let's do a recap. Or the charities that you've been working.
Yeah. So the main charity I've been working with are Flamingo Chicks. Nothing to do with Flamingo Chicks. We are an inclusive dance school, essentially. So we run dance classes for children with disabilities and additional needs. And I run our youth board, basically, called our Agents of Change, which is all about empowering our young people to make a difference, which I absolutely love. So I'm very, very lucky to manage that program. So that's sort of the main charity I'm working with and have been for the past year. We just actually performed at Disneyland Paris a month ago, which was amazing. We were invited. Yeah, I went. So we were invited by Disney to perform on stage.
No way. How was it?
It was incredible.
Oh, I can't believe I missed that.
Yeah, it was amazing. Mostly just to see all of the kids build so much confidence, and some of them had been on a plane for the first time, and it was amazing. So yeah, they're the main charity I'm working with.
And are they based in East London?
No, so they're based in Bristol, actually, which is why I did the walk from London to Bristol.
Okay.
So our main office is in Bristol, but we're across London and Bristol, really.
Interesting.
But yeah, so that's an amazing organisation to be involved with. And then in the last year, I've also started my own company. So we're registered now. I'm a director. It's all very exciting. And my company works with, it's called Connect Through Community, and it works with independent businesses to help them create impact in local communities. So we'll run for our clients, we will manage their partnerships, sponsorships, fundraising activities. Could be accessible employment type thing.
Right.
So anything that a company can do to make a difference using their platform, we will help them manage that and kind of connect them with charities and opportunities to make a difference and create impact. We've got some amazing clients and it's going really well. So
that's amazing.
Great. Yes. What else has happened in the last year? I feel like so much.
That's already a lot.
I mean, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, that's enough. That's like two.
They're the two biggest things.
Yeah. Not only two big, like two full-time.
Oh, yeah.
Jobs, but then
I've still got like 7 jobs that I do, so it's just ridiculous.
Well, this is the thing where it's kind of like, a part of me was like, it's good you're keeping busy, but then a part of me is like, that's a lot. So then you have to still, manage, again, look after yourself. And now I feel like it makes even more sense when you were talking about the part of, something that you're working on is like not putting your needs at the bottom of the pile. And I'm like, oh, of course, because again, I already knew, or I had an idea of how big the pile is, but now it sounds like, the pile it's even bigger. Yeah,
it's a big pile, and I'm working on it.
But that's amazing. And how did you get the how did you get around starting your company? Like how long did it? When did you first thought about it until it became into like fruition?
Yeah, so I'd sort of been doing the work independently. I'd been asked to do sort of community outreach management work for a few local businesses because when I was a teenager, I started a local initiative and sort of became known by local businesses. Anyway, so they sort of asked me, and I was doing it in kind of a freelance ad hoc kind of way. And then it sort of started to grow, and I was being asked more and more, and I thought I just wanted to make it a bit more official and a bit more streamlined so that I could also set my own boundaries. Which was new. I didn't know, me and boundaries have never existed before.
That's cool though.
Yeah. So it was sort of motivated by needing to put a bit of structure in. But I only registered it in December, so it's quite new. But I just got to a point where I was like, I've always wanted to do this. I've been doing this work for years, and I actually felt like I was confident enough to say I was an expert in the space. Like I'd been doing it for so long, and I felt comfortable, and so I just kind of went for it, and it's been doing really well.
Very good. Well done.
Thank you.
Perfect. Well, you know what? I think what I was going to ask. Oh, basically, I was going to say is what I'm going to do is I'm going to put if that's okay with you, on the description of this episode, we'll put a link to Flamingo Chicks.
Oh, absolutely.
And also, because do you have now like a separate account for your work, or like how do people reach?
Yeah, I have two websites now. I have my own personal website, elsaarnold.com. And then I have my company website. But yeah, elsaarnold.com, you'll find me. You'll find everything there.
And then from there you can go to...
You can go to everything from that.
Okay. Now, then the nice way, like a nice question to wrap up is what's next? What have you got planned for the summer? Have you got anything that you even like you can share or talk about? And then to the end of the year, whether it's even just like a holiday to the point or work wise, it's up to you to tell us.
Well, I'd love to go on a holiday.
Very good.
Do you know what? I'm in a funny space at the minute, and I am hoping, maybe I'll say it now and then I can commit to it. Everyone here can hold me accountable. I do want to just take a bit of a pause from a lot of things and just create a bit of space for me to reflect and stop and think about what I actually want to do now moving forwards, because everything is a lot. I'm very overwhelmed and exhausted. So I think my plans, I don't think I have any specific plans. I've got some things in my head that I'm not going to share because you can all go and follow me on Instagram, and then you can see the plans. You can see them unravel. But also because I'm such a last minute person or such a thing. If I say something now, I'll be like, oh, okay, right, I've got to do it now. So I just like to see how things unfold. But yeah, there'll be loads of things. There'll be loads of things that will happen this year, I think. But most importantly, I want to take a bit of a break, and prioritize that and prioritize therapy as well. I think I'm not, that's a big part of my life at the minute, and I want to give my time to that.
Very good. And then how, out of curiosity, because how long it's been since you started doing DBT?
So I started in November.
Oh my God, it's not that long ago.
Not long. No, really not long.
Yeah. You still got a bit to go.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, look, thank you so much. First for everything that you're doing, and also for taking the time to come and do this. And
thank you for having me.
That's okay. Well, thank you, and we'll talk later.
Yeah. Thanks.
So, was it good? Was it what you hoped for? Was it better? Was it worse? I'm pretty sure it wasn't worse. I mean, I'm certain, and I'm actually pretty sure it was. It was a great episode, or it was a great conversation. But you be the judges. Yeah, folks. You know what? I think that's pretty much it. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed the episode, share it with your friends, your family, or your even with your enemies. Maybe that's what's gonna bond you. What's gonna create a more positive bond between you. You know, either your love or hate for this podcast. Whatever you do, that's absolutely fine. Anyway, from me, I'm done. Good, and yeah, thank you all for listening. Again, I'm done for this week. Or like I'm good for this episode. That's what I meant. Yeah, thank you all for listening, and check out Elsa's socials, my socials, her website, my website. Check out everything. And yeah, until next week, from me, Pickle and Sarma, stay skillful. Bye.